Good afternoon. The Russian military has begun a brutal assault on the people of Ukraine. Without provocation, without justification, without necessity, this is a premeditated attack. Vladimir Putin has been planning this for months, as we've been saying all along. He moved more than 175,000 troops, military equipment, and positions along the Ukrainian border. He moved blood supplies into position and built a field hospital, which tells you all you need to know about his intentions all along. He rejected every good faith effort the United States and our allies and partners made to address our mutual security concerns through dialogue to avoid needless conflict and avert human suffering. For weeks, we have been warning that this would happen. And now it's unfolding largely as we predicted. In the past week, we've seen shelling increase in the Donbass, a region in eastern Ukraine controlled by Russian-backed separatists. The Russian government has perpetrated cyber attacks against Ukraine. We saw a staged political theater in Moscow, outlandish and baseless claims that Ukraine was about to invade and launch a war against Russia, that Ukraine was prepared to use chemical weapons, that Ukraine committed a genocide, without any evidence that Ukraine was prepared to use chemical weapons. The Ukraine committed a genocide, without any evidence.
I want to say a few words about that speech. You know, for the first time, Vice President Joe may be correct. And I just wanted to go and look at the pharmaceutical companies in Ukraine, especially in Kyiv, the capital city that was taken, I think, or was attacked last night. I don't really know what's going on. And I kind of laid back for a couple of days, guys, because mainstream media had it covered in their own special way. But, you know, if you look at Kiev, you've got about a dozen pharmaceutical companies there, and some of those are clinical study labs. They're not, bioterror weapons. And if we look closer, and we'll go in here, you're going to see, as I scroll through on the left, you got regular companies like Pfizer, you've got J&J, people like that. But some of these, again, are not just they're not just pharmaceutical companies, but they do clinical tests. But if you scroll this in, and we'll look at it right here in this section, and this is just north of that big cemetery there in Kiev, that there's the Pfizer's there, and it's tucked conveniently behind the American Chamber of Commerce in Ukraine. So kind of handling the businesses and making sure everything's going okay. But again, Pfizer's not a bioterror weapon company. They've never been involved in anything like that would cost millions of lives like that Putin's afraid of. Johnson & Johnson, they're not either. So maybe for once, Joe is right. There was no concern, and that that Putin was probably lying about that possibility of a bioweapon or chemical weapons attack, which now chemical weapons are bioweapons pretty much. Mustard gas, things like that's probably, things of the past. But again, I think our president is correct. With some pretty innocent companies there, none of them would do anything like that. So heads up, guys, be safe.